Hello, welcome to my podcast. Not a podcast, I don't know what to call it. It's essentially my casual, lazy PC gaming in brackets and maybe other stuff, close brackets. Podcast, not a podcast. It's a mouthful, I know. I thought I'd try something different. You have to excuse me. I'm sort of getting out of my comfort zone here, but I want to try something different. I generally stream. I just stream. I stream games. I just play games and just stream the games. See, I don't even know what I'm saying now. Wow, this is a cold start. That's how I'm gonna do it. I should clarify. I do have some notes in front of me. I gotta stop doing the thing because I'm not playing any games at the moment. I'm just recording it. I've got my notes, some basic notes in front of me, what I want to talk about. Essentially, it will be a lot of rambling about nothing, and I'll be repetitive on certain things like word usage. All I have to do is just keep saying something because it's my podcast. That's a terrible pause there. Almost terrible pause. Usually I rely a lot on the games themselves because there are moments in the games that I just play and they just run. I just let them do their thing, as in they tell the story or you watch you watch it as I play it out. Now I don't have that sort of backing me up. It's just me needing to talk. I gotta stop doing that thing. You notice a lot of that. I might edit it out. I'm also using Audacity to record this. I'm very used to OBS Studio because I've got filters in there to cut out certain stuff. There we go again. What is this about? Well, there are times where I don't feel like streaming. And I've got my YouTube channel now. Though the YouTube channel is just for me to put all my stream archive stuff with minimal edits. But who knows, right? In the future, I might edit it. There we go again. Gotta watch out. Terrible. So I'm trying to talk without having any pauses. I don't know how people do it. I suppose they've got a lot of experience and maybe they can think on their feet. I can't quite do that. I try to write down stuff, but I think there's a tendency for me to overdo it, or I get to a point of thinking, this is not worth it. I'm not going to do it. And then I don't do anything about it. I don't end up doing anything. So I thought I'll just write up some really basic stuff of what I want to talk about and just figure out the software, get the basics on it, and just jump right into it. Okay, so what is this about? It's a side project. So I've got my YouTube stuff where I where I transfer all my let's try saying that again. Transfer some of my stuff, mostly the news streams, starting I think January of this 2020, January, something like that, or actually it could have been a bit later, February. It's there somewhere. So far I've got about 100 videos, streams that's gone over, copied over from Twitch over to YouTube. It's just a place for me to store it. It's for lengthy story stuff, games. There's a mixture of other things as well. Maybe not story based stuff that I'm just fooling around with, like Sims 4, bits and pieces, a mix of everything. And I kind of want to have a backup as well. I don't want to rely on Twitch because I've got maybe nearly 1,000 videos there, right? it's scary. So I don't want to keep everything in one place. I don't know how the audio is sounding. I don't know how close. I've tested this. It seems okay, but it's hard to tell until I check it out again. But yeah, I've tested it. Seems alright, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Okay, so what is this all about? This is just me, again, just a side project. I want to do a podcast. I just want to have a chat about what I'm doing in terms of streaming, what I'm playing, what I'm looking forward to. That's the basic idea. Some just very generalized thoughts. How long do I want to keep these so-called podcasts on a podcast going? I'm not sure. I've looked around, and most people, well, the ones that I've liked that are like about an hour long. But some start at 20, 30 minutes, 1 hour. This is definitely not a news. This is not where you get news on the latest game information. Nothing like that. Nothing at all. If anything, it's probably poorly researched. It's just me getting bits and pieces of things here and there, what I want to talk about. That's the idea. Gotta be careful. So, generalized thoughts on the games I play, my streams, they're personal thoughts as well. I gotta stop doing that. So I have a series of, I just knocked my mic, series of things to talk about, but they'll blend into each other, mix and flow, and sometimes I'll go back into it again. What should I start with? I suppose I'll talk about my stream. I'm a very casual gamer, I suppose. I jump into a game most of the time, an hour, 2 hours, and just play what I feel like playing. Sometimes I might stretch it out to 3 hours or 4 hours, but they're fairly rare because I don't have a lot of time. That's why I do the casual gaming sort of stuff. I tend to go into, I wouldn't say completely story or narrative based. I think I gravitate towards action type games, action games with story in them, but I'm very, very selective. Right? Of course, another thing is I do sidetrack a lot in my conversations. I might be talking about one thing and then I'll talk about something else. I'll try to pull back again. I still haven't decided if I need to have a proper intro music, but I don't know. There might not be one in this case. I don't think I'll have any video footage running in the background, but who knows in the future, right? My future self might put a video in this whole thing. But like at this time that I'm planning, I don't see that actually doing that. What else? Right, about streaming, I do find that it is quite difficult to chat and play games at the same time. And I've been doing this for a while now, but not continuously as well. I don't know how other people do it. It's just amazing that they can have that reaction speed, the memory skills, the timing, and play the game, and talk and interact with people. It's amazing skill that I don't really have even after all this time. But yeah, I have fun within that hour or two in a day that I get to play a game, though. Sometimes I just don't have that drive. That's why I thought maybe I should try like a side project, which is where this podcast thing came about. You will realize that, yeah, I will say the same thing a few times. I hope eventually I can try to keep things moving without sounding too repetitive. What else? What are my approaches? What is my approach and goals for the streaming gaming? Well, for me, gaming is just an escapism. And when I thought, you know what, I like to archive my gaming experiences, my journey, right, by doing so. And also, if someone happened to watch it, I like doing it live, just playing the game live. People happen to like hanging out. They don't really have to say anything and just watch and maybe listen to what I have to say about the game, or just, and again, generally I don't talk a lot in the game itself. I just go with the flow of it. If there's something to talk about, I'll say something. Yeah. But yeah, it's nice to have, you know, if people really like it, that's a good thing. That's nice as well to just join in on the journey as how I'm experiencing it. The way I would compare it is back in the old days when there's arcades, people would, wait their turn to watch someone play an arcade machine. Like there's a line or there's people crowding around some person and just watching over, and the person might say something. It's that sort of experience that I'm maybe trying to emulate, maybe, but without the heavy number of crowds, right? It's very. I'm trying to do a chill sort of thing, even though sometimes I get really frustrated with a game. But it's sort of like someone just sort of curiously peek over the player's shoulder and go, "Oh, let's have a look what this person's doing." They don't really have to say anything. That's the type of thing that I'm trying to bring to the table. Is that what people say? I'm not trying to sell anything. It's just me trying to explain what I'm trying to do. Yeah, and it's just me trying to have fun with the games. And if people enjoy that, enjoy part of the journey. Next time, I hope to explain that in a better way. I haven't quite come up with a better description. Maybe I should try to read my own profile on my Twitch page. What else? Oh, one of the mistakes that I've done in streaming, I'll talk about some mistakes. Like, I think I should try to bring up mistakes from time to time. I think this is something that I'll continually make. I'll try not to. Recently, I played Remedy's Control. I'll talk about that as well. The thing about that game is, for some reason, I can't capture that full screen. So I had to do a display capture. But when I alt-tab the game, it just shows my desktop, right? I don't have any background or icons displayed, so it's just a black screen. So I have like a BRB screen in OBS. So what I'd done was, at certain point of the game, I had to look up. Yes, I do look up stuff because I get lost very easily. Very, very easily. If you ever seen me play Resident Evil 2 Remake, I get so lost. I think somehow I managed to play 20 hours total. But that's for both Leon and Claire's playthrough, like one after the other. I think it was about 20 hours, something like that. Anyway, so I had to look through the guides, right, on how to do a certain bit. But I forget to remove the BRB, and sometimes it's just the BRB word. So I'm running around with the BRB word on the screen, and sometimes I've got like a backdrop, a wallpaper type thing, covering up everything. I'm just talking, and you can hear the game sound, but you can't see anything. That infuriated me. That was like one of my last couple of, like, I don't know, second or third last stream for that game. And that was infuriating. Yeah, I should like try to check. I even told myself I should check later on, but I still made like that mistake. It's very annoying. So yeah, that's one of the mistakes, something to look out for if you play a game that requires that you have a BRB screen. I don't know how many people make that mistake. I think I make that quite frequently. Not frequently, like it happens. I try not to. Maybe, I don't know, 1 out of 50. maybe less, depending on how I'm capturing the screen. That's my gripe. That's my problem. What else? Okay. What have I been playing? What have I played? So recently, as I said, I finished Control. It's a pretty cool game. Pretty cool game. I like the aesthetics, the design, the idea, and the best part of that game is also the powers. It makes you feel like a superpowered character, a superhero type of character. And that's the addictive part. That's what like pulled me through to become more and more powerful. It is definitely a whatchamacallit, a power trip? No, a power fantasy. And once I started getting Jessie to be able to fly briefly, that's when it got really interesting. It was, I think, the flying part. It was cool initially, but to continuously use it, it's not something I'm used to because it adds that extra level of extra dimension. If a game about traversing different dimensions, anyway, it adds that verticality, but also add another level of difficulty to the game. I'm not used to that as well, and I tend to unfortunately mash my keys. So she would fly, and then I'll accidentally, or I'll just press the button, and then she'll fall back down again, and I'll keep mashing it. It just annoys me that I do that without thinking properly. So I have to just back up a bit and be very strategic with the flying. I think I've seen others play it from almost like a top-down shooter, like not top-down shooter, but she's like floating and she's shooting down. I find that very tricky because then you get attacked in the open very easily. But this is where you would add in the dodge function as well. And that's where I have my problem to be able to, I suppose you could say multitask, but I don't like using that term. Just jumping back and forth, moving forward, up and down. Be really aware of your entire surrounding. I find myself not using that at all. Most of the time I'm behind walls or running back and forth. I do use the dodge function, but I mostly use the flight function to get from, one platform to another. So it's interesting game. I like it. Now I do have a problem with it because as a very casual gamer, there is no difficulty setting in this game, and it is difficult. For me, it is difficult. But I managed to get through it because there is something that pulled me along in terms of the story, in terms of the powers. And I think, what was one of the boss? I've forgotten his name now. Salvador, or something? Is it something like that? He was the guy that guarded the TV, which gave Jessie her flying powers. That's right. Died about, it got defeated 4 or 5 times. But it wasn't too bad, right? Because I got through and there was a strategy. I could hide behind pillars, run around a bit. And that really worked. And at that time, I had the hypnosis or seize power to control the other guards. And that helped a lot. The seize powers was one of the ones which I upgraded quite a lot at a later stage. But, it takes time to use it. And I had the mod to make that seize power take less time. Anyway, it was only until I got to the mold worm creature, and that was like a side thing as well. It's an optional side quest that I realized how difficult it really was. I mean, I realized it was pretty hard already with just normal the guards, the people who are infected with a hiss or something like that. See, I've completely forgotten it. That is another thing as well. I have a very forgetful memory. so that's why I talk in a very generalized way. I'll just say, oh, those things, or those guards that have been infected by the hiss, something like that. When I was fighting them, I realized I got smashed. If I weren't paying attention, or I was getting too I thought that, yeah, I could take them on without carefully assessing the situation. I'll just get wiped very easily. If I thought I could just walk in there with all my powers. Nope. So I gotta be careful. So that's when I realized, at that point when I was getting wiped out, not necessarily by the worm, but when I was just fighting the normal enemies and getting wiped by them, I realized, oh, I gotta be careful here. I can't get too cocky about it. So, but finding that molded worm, wow, I must have got wiped out 10 times plus. It was terrible, demoralizing. I thought I figured out the patterns, but it had like poison, missiles, and what is it? Physical attacks. It's melee thing. But it was dropping the explodey rocks from the top, or whatever they were called. I was just getting wiped out, and that totally set me back. I was like, my mind was like, I don't think I can keep going with this. But I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try to not even think about it and just move on to the rest of the story, which I went through fine. I completed the game, had fun, and yes, I did get wiped near the end. There's a bit where you have to the like relay dish or something like that for it wasn't Polaris, it was part of Polaris. These are the spoilers. Obviously there's going to be spoilers in what I'm talking about here. I should have said that at the very beginning. Apologies. But yeah, at that point where there's all these pillars going up and down, I was getting wiped out a lot of the times because I had to fight these guys that had, rocks flying around them. They're essentially they're Salvadors or something like that. And then there were the dudes that throw stuff from the air. And there were I don't know what they call them, elite troops or something like that. It was, I don't know, it must have been five times. But it wasn't too bad once you figure out that you could definitely use the pillars to your advantage. Again, running behind stuff, which I should have learned. But I was panicking a lot. And it was, for me, kind of hard to figure out the directions where they're coming from. So, yeah, and eventually I finished it. I think, how long did I spend? I must have been about less than 20 hours in that game. There were points when I thought, oh, maybe this is just dragging on a bit. But thinking back, I think most of it is just, I'm just not going on with a flow. There are game, like when you play a game, when I play a game, there is a rhythm to them. I'm not talking about like a rhythm game, but there's a flow. You get into a state where you go, oh yeah, I understand I gotta do this. I understand I gotta do this. I gotta press that button when this happens. I gotta do this. This guy, I know I have to do this. I gotta walk around. I gotta run around. So on and so forth. It's a bit more than just that, but you know the routine and know what you have to do to get there. I think with this game, I sort of had, it's like somewhere between figuring out and not figuring out. For quite some time, I didn't know how to read the map properly. I still don't quite know how to read the map properly, but there are indications of where the main quests are supposed to go. I didn't even know that till way later on. Oh, okay. I was blindly running around trying to figure out where I have to go next. And yeah, it's just mad that I didn't even think about that till way later on. I'm so glad there's fast travel. Oh, the other thing is that game is difficult in that if you lose, you're taken you're spawned back to where your last save point is, which is where the teleportation area is. I forgot what it's called now. And they could be quite far away. from where you want to go, where you were last defeated. And on your way there, you might have to fight through creatures again that just respawn. That's what makes it quite challenging, I mean, for me. So there's that. Like, no difficulty settings, and the spawn point are, or the save point are not that close to where you were last defeated, sort of thing. Is there anything else? I mean, like, there's part of me that wants to go back and read up on the lore and listen to the audio logs again, and I didn't do that. I feel like I missed quite a significant chunk of the world building aspect. I'm sure I missed out quite a lot. Aesthetically, it is quite striking, the design. I think they call it brutalist architecture, perhaps. Not a single window. Everything's enclosed. I like the idea. I'm not going to go into, I might go into it next time, but who knows. I mean, the entire idea in the game. What else? The characters are interesting. The thing I have discovered, though, I don't know if this is a Remedy thing, because I play Remedy games very rarely and I don't finish them, and I'll talk about the other ones as well. But it feels to me like I think this might be other than Max Payne 1 and 2, which I'm not going to count because I played that when I was a kid. I barely remember that. And I did play Max Payne 3, but I don't think Remedy made that one. Was it made by Rockstar, I think? And let me check that. You're going to hear all this clicking now. Yeah, Rockstar made it, which is interesting. I find that with Remedy's dialogue, there is something about it that, I don't know what, it feels like it drags on a bit. It doesn't, I know they're trying to, okay, so dialogue can be in a story is for the story or to develop the character or to review something about the character, right? I can see that they're trying to do that and at the same time trying to make it mysterious and weird. But it doesn't seem to come together in I don't even know how to explain it, but it feels like the dialogue, yeah, it just feels like it drags on. Maybe they need an editor on it. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure how they can improve upon it. But that's just me. I shouldn't use the word improve. Change it perhaps. But again, that's a personal thing. I've noticed that because recently I've restarted playing Alan Wake again. The first time I played was back in 2018. I never finished it. I'm trying to finish it now. That's my new thing. But I don't know. I'm struggling through that. I'm nearing the end. 2 more chapters or something like that. But wow, like, however, that's, my problem is the gameplay, like for me. But the storyline, the dialogue seems to work better. Maybe because it's designed in a very episodic manner within a game. And the pacing of the story feels brisk. Is that the right word? It feels like it's more, I don't know, refined. It's hard to tell. Maybe it's the structure of the game. Like in Control, people like to say it's a Metrovania. I don't know if that's the case though. I don't know if it's because the game structure. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that feels like, I don't think there's a ton of dialogue in Control either. It's all the dialogue that I'm talking about. Well, it includes chatting between the characters. You do get dialogue, I suppose, options, but you have to pick them through. Oh, that's my other problem with it, my other gripe. So I was playing through, I thought, all right, I'm going to come back to a character to finish the rest of the discussion, the talk, to find out what's going on. I want to play the game, and I don't want to initially stand there and listen to lengthy dialogue. So I went and played the game. I had picked a couple of dialogue choices just to listen what's going on, but I left a few. When I came back after like maybe 5 hours, the dialogue choices are not there anymore. It's been overwritten by something else. I'm like, what? What? Oh, it's sort of understandable because the game has moved, has progressed. The story has progressed, right? So that's why there's new options available. But to completely remove the previous stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure I like that. But it's also my fault because I should have completely exhausted all the conversation. But anyway, the dialogue comes from the conversation as well as audio logs. And I don't know, to me, they all feel very, it's just, I'm not sure lengthy is the right word. It just feels like it's going somewhere but nowhere at the same time. I know it sort of wants to be like that because of the subject, the weirdness of this world. What else? It's hard to pin down, like when I play a game or read a story or something like that, like consume fiction, I try to look at the theme of the story. What is the theme of the story? What are they trying to tell me? What are they trying to say here? Are they talking about good conquering evil, obsession, that sort of thing, right? It's hard to pin down what control is. I mean, obviously it's about controlling. Maybe it's too subtle for me to figure it out. Maybe it's hidden in the laws which I'd missed out, which is quite possible. But there is something in there that I'm still trying to mull over. Maybe I just don't have enough information yet. I'm sure I haven't looked around the internet what they are trying to say, but it's about what the general idea is in a game, and I can't quite see that. I don't know. With control, is it about people losing control, being obsessed, like trying to have control, but being taken over by a greater force, a greater being? But then at the end of the game, spoilers, it seems like Jessie believes that she can, be more careful about the whole thing. Is that it? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. What is it trying to say? Maybe there is nothing else to say. It's about forces outside of human, outside of the human sphere, something so alien that could easily overwhelm us. I don't know. It's not about a message either. Maybe I'm not looking at this the right way. But yeah, this is not a very in-depth sort of thing. It's just, again, personal thoughts. Shall I move on? Oh yeah, I've recently just gone back to Alan Wake. I might have one or two more chapters to go. I realized with Remedy games, there is this, well, the recent ones, I haven't finished Quantum Break. I'll try to get back to that as well if I finish Alan Wake. I feel that their style of gameplay is very frenetic. Is that the right word? And hectic. There's always something happening, and then suddenly silent. Like nothing. It's a weird pacing for me. There are games that sort of blends the two quite well. I'm not sure if developers can quite get away from trying to tell a story through tapes and text and then combat. I mean, you've heard of environmental storytelling, and things like Fallout does that. I mean, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, they have the environmental storytelling, right? Oh, a couple of skeletons there with a teddy bear. Are their parent? What happened? You know, that's the sort of environmental storytelling, but not that tells of the situation that's there, but not in terms of, okay, this is the world, this is what happens with these factions. It's not at that level. It's a different sort of thing, but they also blend in and create the world itself. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, it's just what I was trying to say is trying to tell a story through in game. I feel is quite difficult. Like, how are they going to do it? Beside, here are some optional texts you can read about, and here are some audio logs you can listen to. I remember reading an article. It was an old article, but I read it recent. Well, how recent? Maybe several months back. About storytelling. I think they were trying to say, if anything is in text or audio logs, they shouldn't do that because it doesn't really progress the story. I feel that they do create an idea of the world, and for anyone who wants to explore further into that world, though it is a bit of a gamble because the player might, majority of player might not even might even ignore that. Though I feel there are those who would seek out those stories and really try to build an entire what you may call it, concept based on what they've discovered. I mean, you've seen that with other games, right? And that's part of the fun. Once they finish the game, they can piece together the lores, the bits and pieces of the ideas, and get an overall view of this entire world. That's if the game and the story is built well. But for those, I feel like for those that want to play the game and experience the story, they need to do something more. So if I were to skip all the audio logs and text, how much of it would I miss? Like, in a way, I do miss cutscenes in games, especially the ones that have lots of cutscenes. Back in the day, I think there were quite a few games with heavy cutscenes, and they tell the story up front right there. I mean, games do still have cutscenes now, but I feel like they're putting quite a bit of the ideas and stories into the lore, maybe? I need to find some examples here. We might revisit this discussion again next time. How am I doing? Yeah, I think... let's have a look. Oh, I might try to talk about the games that I finish in each stream, in each recordings, or whatever this is. Because there's quite a bit to talk about. But sometimes I would talk about it thinking, oh yeah, there's a lot to talk about. And I'd say a sentence, doesn't seem like there's a lot. I mean, I recently finished 2064 read-only memories, Disco Elysium, Gears 5, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Final Fantasy 15. Oh yeah, Final Fantasy 15. Wow, what a experience that game was. I'm not sure what's going on because there's, the anime. I think there's the CG stuff as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think that's almost like a prime example to learn about the story. You gotta look at all these other media. I'm not really a fan of that. But in terms, if I played it as a journey with some people call them Choco Bros, right? Just on that aspect alone, as a road trip, that was an incredible experience. For the first few weeks after that game, I kept thinking back. It was a road trip that doesn't exist. And yet it made a strong impression in my mind, in my memories. Like I had spent a lot of time with these guys. It was quite a journey. It was an emotional journey. Especially, what the characters have gone through. I mean, I really didn't mind the main character. He sort of changed in a way through the experience. I want to try to say more than, oh, I like it, I don't like that, and to try to delve into it deeper. But it requires a considerable amount of analyses, I suppose. I'll try to keep this light and just touch upon a few things here and there. I don't want to overburden too much of a discussion. I think I overdid it a bit with control. I said stuff, but I didn't say stuff. If that made sense. Oh, and I think Final Fantasy 15 might have one of the things that I normally don't enjoy, that is fishing in games. I don't quite enjoy it, but I think I got used to it. Maybe it's catching easier fish in that compared, if I try to fish harder, the more difficult ones, I might start going, no, I can't take it. But I sort of grasp it. It was something that I was anxious and fearful of. I'm going, oh no, I don't want to do this. But once I get into it, it wasn't too bad. It was a bit stiff, the system behind it, and I feel like the fishing string, no, whatever they're called, I don't even know. They break too easily. But the idea is, you have to spend money to get it, and hence the entire. There's a system, right? You have to go buy it to get the money. You gotta do quests, hunt creatures. And that's the idea behind it anyway. There might be more stuff to talk about, but overall, I enjoyed the time spent. It was emotional with all of them. And some of the photos, oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about. Other than the photos being taken automatically, which is pretty cool by Prompto, I like that system. And maybe 1 out of 20 photos, sometimes more than that, are quite good. It's a game that is a third-person perspective, but you can see the character's facial expression. I don't see that a lot in most third-person games. If you have a look at the faces, for example, you look at Control, when you try to turn around and look at Jessie's face, she's got that just, I don't know what you call it, deadpan look. It just stares out into nowhere. And you can see that in Assassin's Creed games as well. They just have that stare. They don't have any expression. I'm not sure if when they get into action, they make faces. I can sort of understand that. You're almost always looking at the back of the character. You're not going to look at the face, right? When you're fighting, you're not going to turn the camera around. But in Final Fantasy 15, they have facial expression. It gets captured on the photo. I don't know what, like maybe they have a system where they go, if Prompto is using camera, make face. But the fact that they've designed that I thought was amazing. I would love to see that system somewhere. I'll have the character have facial expression, especially nowadays when you have, photo mode. I'm playing Assassin's Creed. I've got Cassandra doing fights and stuff like that, and I try to do a photo mode. She just have that blank stare when she's in the middle of a really intense fight. I don't know. I would love for some sort of system where they put in facial expressions in characters. But I can see that being very difficult and time consuming, and is it necessary if you don't really get to see the face all that often. But it really humanizes the characters, which is why I was so connected with the characters in Final Fantasy 15. I really liked, and like the photo mode really helped, the auto photo mode, or the ones done by Prompto. It really adds to that connectedness, that camaraderie, right, with all the characters. So that's Final Fantasy. What else? I think maybe I should start talking about something else, and then we'll sort of wrap up. I don't know how long we'll be talking for. Let's see. I'll have to. I don't know. I've got lots of empty spots in this entire chat podcast, whatever you want to call it. So what am I playing? Trying to finish Alan Wake. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it. We'll see. And I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey Atlantis, Fate of Atlantis DLC. I think I'm getting close to completing. I think there's like 3 episodes. I'm finishing episode 1. I'll be getting to episode 2. I think there's 2 or 3, something like that. It's a incredibly nice looking world, but then I realized after a while that it feels. I kind of prefer the vanilla world because it feels like there is life. I know that's the idea. It's the world of the dead, right? Elysium. That's where we're at, I believe, in the Atlantis DLC. People don't really do much. It looks beautiful. But yeah, there's a part of me that just wants to go back to the vanilla world. It's starting to feel small, even though there's all these massive cliffs and areas to explore in I believe it is Elysium. As a part of me just wants to finish it and go back to the Odyssey's version of Greece, or part of it. What else is there? I guess, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing much to talk about in terms of what else to play. I have a bunch of games I want to get back into, like Mutazion, but that's a really super chilled out game. It's enjoyable. There's things happening, but it is somewhat slow going, which is fine, but I need to mix that up with something else as well. And I do tend to, as I say, focus on action games. What else? Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what else to play. I've started, a couple months ago, according to my last stream, I started Ni no Kuni for the PC version. Wrath of the White Witch. I like it, but at the same time, I'm kinda, I don't know. Aesthetically, it looks great. Voice acting's great. But the mechanics, I don't know. I just don't know. Once I start getting to my first dungeon and losing and having to go through it again, it was giving me flashback to Dragon Quest 11. That was just horrendous. I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? It wasn't as bad as one of the dungeons that I had to play through in Dragon Quest 11. But I don't know. I'll try to continue Ni no Kuni, but we shall see. I'm still trying to find a game which I can just sink my teeth in for a lengthy amount of time, which I've done. But I feel that can be problematic because I do get into a burnout stage very easily. There's a recovery rate and there's burnout rate, right? And it depends on my mood, how I am during the day. Sometimes it's like I just don't want to look at that game. So I have to mix it up, but at the same time I got to be careful because I could play too many things and completely lose myself and go, I don't know what to play. Yeah. Lots. Not really a problem. I can't talk about. I'll talk about Gears 5 next time. There's not much to say. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what else to play to mix it up. Because I really, as I say, I finished Read Only Memories. I just try to not churn through, but just go through the games. I think the one that really, really took quite a while to get through was Disco Elysium. That was, what a game. What a game. What an experience. Lots to read. I barely understand, I don't know, 20% of it maybe. I don't quite remember, but I just have a overall impression of it. Yeah, I might talk more about what I'll play next time, if there's going to be a next time in one of these podcasts. I was planning that. I guess maybe that's it for now. This is the first podcast. It was fun to talk about stuff. I think with podcasts, or just, it's not a vlog. It's an audio log in a way. I get to focus on my thoughts and some ideas, even though they're not a huge difference to what I normally say after playing a game or maybe before a game. Most of the time it's after the final parts of the games. It's not all that different. But I get to put more concentration, I suppose, instead of trying to recover from the gameplay itself. Although after playing the game, I have a better idea. It's still fresh in my mind of what I'm talking about. Although at the same time, I'm exhausted from it, depending how long I've sunk time into it. Like Final Fantasy 15, my last stream was 4 hours, maybe more. It was out there. I think that was what happened with Disco Elysium. My last stream was 4 hours. No, second last stream. And then after that, 1.5 hours for the debrief stuff. Yeah. I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah. I hope to do another one. I don't know. Maybe once every 6 months. I don't know. I've got more stuff to say. I actually planned out more stuff to talk about, which is good. It's always good to have more stuff planned out. That means I get to put them in the next one, if ever there's going to be a next one. I hope there will be, because we're getting close to the, the Digital Stream Expo. I don't even know what they're called. There's no more E3, right? There's none of those big stage presence for the games presentation. So now it's all digital base, I suppose. That's an easy way of putting it, due to current situation. There's a few things I want to look for. I want to talk about. It might be a shorter podcast next time, but who knows? We shall see. All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out, listening, and I'll hopefully catch you in my stream, or perhaps the next podcast, not a podcast. Take care, everyone. Have a good day or night, and see ya next time.